Greetings, selectors, and welcome to weekly Wharf Wixoss. Hope you're ready for another exciting showdown. Remember, Diner Miko of Feasting and her icy cold touch versus the radiant Yuzuki, Surflame Beauty. Who will win this battle of ice and fire? Find out coming up next. Welcome to the Gamers Wharf in Grandville, Michigan. Here our selectors will do battle to determine this week's weekly Wharf Wixoss champion. Let's meet the Elrigs our selectors will be playing today. On the blue side, we have Yuzuki Brilliant Surflame Beauty, a very aggressive Elrig who breaks her own life cloth to make her own allies assassins. She also has access to the powerful Fasone magic crafts, being able to choose 2 at level 3. Her pieces include Brain Hearts for card draw and vanish, and Connect Spinning for vanish, enter burn, card draw, and life cloth damage. Her assists give her some enter recursion and protection with Mel, and card draw and life burst manipulation with Eldora. Overall, a very aggressive deck on the blue side there. Let's take a look at their opponent on the red side. Remember, Diner Miko of Feasting is a restrictive defensive Elrig, capable of freezing Signy and removing all the abilities of Signy and Elrig alike. Her pieces are Innocent Battle, that helps protect against deck refreshes, and Blue Knight Show, that can bottom a Signy, freeze an Elrig, draw cards, or make opponent discard cards. Her assists offer her card draw and luck-based damage prevention with Aya. She also brings coins along to help pay for certain card abilities. And vanish and card recursion with Guzuko, who also brings coins along. Before we begin, a few things to note. These are casual events played at our weekly event. We try to correct any mistakes if caught, but sometimes they slip through the cracks. We of course welcome any ruling concerns, clarifications, or corrections. Please write down below who you think will win this match, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you really like our content. With that being said, we hope you enjoy this week's edition of Weekly Wharf Wixoss. Our selectors look to be ready. The Elrigs can't contain their excitement. The stock crowd noise is cheering. Who will win this clash of ice and fire? Let's get ready to battle. Blue has won the dice roll and will be going first. This is the second time we've seen Yuzuki on Weekly Wharf Wixoss. The first time did not go their way. Likewise, this is not the first time we have seen Remember. This is, however, a new version of this deck. Can't wait to see how this game turns out. Blue starts off with an enter charge and then grows to level 1. The first play of the game is a Broom Desona. By paying 1, Blue can look at the top 3 cards of their deck, reveal a Desona card, and put it into hand. They choose a Wallwolf and put it directly into play in the top lane. Next they play an Emergence, which since they have Desona on the field, and it charges 1. Now the turn passes over to Red for their first turn. As a control player, you love going second, getting that extra card, as well as getting those first attacks in. Red enter charges and grows to level 1. After surveying their options, Red elects to grow Aya to level 1. Aya draws a card and gains 2 coins. These coins can be used later for other abilities on cards that use them. A Snow Mew comes down, which freezes a target Signy on the opponent's field. Also at the end of turn, if there are 2 more Frozen Signy, you can put one of those Frozen Signy on the bottom of the deck. Next, a Cream Soda comes down, and since there's a Frozen Signy on the field, you can look at your opponent's hand and cycle one of their cards to the bottom and they draw a card. Blue reveals a hand of 2 Servants and an Emergence, of which only one could be a valid target. Getting to the attacks, the top lane is cleared, and the bottom lane reveals a Burst, which is an Emergence. This burst allows Blue to enter charge 1 and then pick up a Signy from enter, which in this case is Ivy. Finally, we have an Elrig attack, which is guarded by one of those two servants. Red is able to get through 1 damage on the first turn. Back over to the blue side, we have an enter charge of a flat throw, and then paying for Yuzuki to grow to level 2. Followed next by an Eldora to level 1 to draw 2 cards. Next, blue plays a Walwolf in the top lane and gives it Lancer. Finally, playing an Ivy to Sona in the bottom lane. Moving to the attack phase, Ivy enter charges 1, and then we have our attack starting in the bottom lane. Next, Broom to Sona attacks in the center lane. Revealing a burst, Cream Soda. Her burst effect is whenever target Elrig or Signia opponent's field attacks this turn, negate that attack unless they discard 3 cards. The target is the center Elrig Yuzuki. We have an attack in the top lane now with Lancer. Revealing not a burst. Turn passes back over to red with blue having done 2 damage. Red enter charges and grows Remember to level 2. Red plays a Haniel in the bottom lane, which for 1 enter, you can look at the top 3 cards, choose a level 2 or less Signy from among them, and put them into your hand. Red chooses a Servant and puts it into their hand. Guzuko's then grown to level 1, vanishing a level 1 or less, and gaining red 2 coins, bringing red up to 4 coins. This red deck only has 1 place to spend coins in Remember Memoria, who can simply freeze Signy for 1 coin. A Cream Soda comes down in the center lane, but their effect won't trigger as there's no frozen Signy. We move to the attack phase with only 2 lanes filled. We have a burst, Broom to Sona. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck, reveal a Signy from among them and add to your hand or put it onto your field. A Comedy to Sona is revealed and placed into blue's hand. Finally, red caps it off with an attack from Remember, revealing a Lalaru burst. That's 3 bursts in a row. By discarding a card, you can vanish a 12k or less. There might have been a misplay here, as blue may have forgotten to discard a card. Blue starts off with enter charging the Walwolf from the top lane. Pulling the 3 bursts in the beginning of this game was a real game changer. Let's see if they can convert some of that early luck into some big damage here. Blue then grows Yuzuki to level 3. When she enters, she crushes her own life cloth, but then trashes her opponent's life cloth, which means it does not activate. Red reveals a Haniel burst, which does not activate, and blue reveals not a burst. Overall, good trade for blue. Blue then plays Tamago, which by downing 2 Elrigs, you can draw a card, and when she attacks, discard a card, you can draw 2 cards. And then a Firecracker is played in the top lane, discarding a Desona card to vanish a 5k or less, in this case the Haniel. Blue then grows Mel to level 1, returning 2 cards without guard from trash to the enter zone. Moving on to the attack phase, red plays Aya Holograph. Each time a Signy or Elrig attacks this turn, both players reveal the top card of their deck. If they either both have a burst or both have a non-burst, the attack is negated. Let's see how much damage is prevented by this. Blue starts off by attacking with Tamago, whose attack trigger will activate by discarding a card. You can then draw 2 cards. Will the attack go through? They're both a burst, so it is prevented. The revealed cards are then placed at the bottom of the deck. Next we have attack from Firecracker. Both players reveal, and they are both non-burst. The damage is prevented, and the card goes to the bottom of the deck. 2 for 2. Can I prevent the third one? Ivy attacks in the bottom lane. Both players reveal. They are both non-bursts, and the damage is prevented again. Now we have Yuzuki attacking. Can this be prevented too? Both players reveal. And they are different, so this attack does go through, but it is guarded by a servant. Blue had 4 opportunities to damage there, and none of them hit. What a rough turn there for blue. Not what an aggro deck wants to see. Moving on to the next turn, red enter charges and then grows Remember to level 3. She has the ability to look through the top 3 cards of the deck, add 1 to hand, put the rest on the bottom, as well as down and freezing on attack. Her once per game lets her blank her opponent's Signy and Elrig's text boxes for an entire turn, which red quickly decides to activate. After that, red then activates the once per turn, looking at the top 3 cards, picking one and putting the rest on the bottom. This card does not have to be revealed. Even more card selection now, as Haniel is played in the top lane, paying for her enter cost. Red picks up an Ishikiri Maru from the Haniel activation. Placing the card back in hand after a quick double check. Anexia is then played in the center lane, adding protection from target effects. And then we have an Ii Desona, whose enter effect, it looks at the bottom card of the deck. If she's ever vanished outside of the main phase, you can pay a blue and discard the bottom card of your deck to do an effect based on the level of that card. Starting in the center, Exia clears the Tamago, and then we are skipping the other 2 Signy attacks and going straight to the Elrig attack, which then freezes the Firecracker. We have damage coming through, and it is guarded by a servant. Blue is able to stave off any damage done this turn, but is in a worse board state than before, having to contend with both a Exia on board and an Aya Desona. They will have to pick the right lane and maybe sneak 1 damage through this turn. The Firecracker is enter charged to remove it from the field. As a reminder, the Ivy Signy and Yuzuki Elrig both do not have any abilities this turn. Any future Signy played will not be affected by Remember's ability. Blue then plays their first piece of the game, Connect Spinning, vanishing the Exia in the center lane, triggering Exia's effect. Exia's effect will prevent any attacks in the center lane. The second effect chosen is Enter Burning Remember for 3. The final effect chosen is blue discarding a card to crush one of red's life cloth. And it is a burst, which is a servant getting a card back from the trash. Red decides to pick up a servant from that servant burst activation. Broom Desona is played in the center lane, paying for its effect, looking at the top 3 cards, and getting a Desona card to hand. The chosen card is another Firecracker Desona. The Firecracker is played to the top lane, activating its effect, and vanishing the Haniel in front of it. A Nobunaga is then played on top of the Firecracker. As it is a Rise Signy, it must be played on top another Signy. Blue then activates Nobunaga by paying 2 red to give it Double Crush. Blue has built themselves up a pretty sizable board here. Got a Double Crush in the top lane. That should help make up for not being able to attack in the center lane. We're moving to the attack phase now. Red plays Kuzuko Peace, vanishing their own Signy, Aya Desona, to vanish the Nobunaga. Aya Desona's effect now triggers, paying a blue and discarding the bottom card of their deck. Revealing the bottom card of the deck, it is level 3, so vanish target Signy on opponent's field. A 2-for-1 vanish off of 1 assist. No attacks from Signy will get through this turn. All that's left now is the Yuzuki attack in the center, which is guarded by a servant, leaving the only damage this turn from the Connect Spinning piece. Another rough turn for blue. The match is now tied at 3-3 on Life Cloth. An Ishikiri Maru is then played in the top lane. On their opponent's turn, Ishikiri Maru gets plus 4k, and then first time a Signy enters the field this turn, look at the top card of your deck, you may put it on the bottom. Pretty good way to start setting up for another Aya Desona in the future. A Koala also entered in the bottom lane. Red starts by resolving the Ishikiri Maru effect first. Koala's other effects include, if at the beginning of the attack phase both life cloth totals are the same, draw a card. During your opponent's turn, when a Signy attacks, remove all their abilities. And the current enter effect of looking at the top 3 cards, choosing card, put it to hand, and the rest on the bottom of the deck in any order. As previously, this card does not have to be revealed. Next, red activates Remembers once per turn. Next, an Exia is played again in the center lane, and there seems to be a second triggering of Ishikiri Maru's ability, which is only a once per turn ability, so we have a small misplay. Moving to the attack phase, Koala triggers as both players have 3 life cloth. Blue then plays Eldora on stage, which adds a second burst to any life cloth revealed for the first 2 life cloth this turn. Going to attacks, Exia clears in the middle, and then Koala attacks in the bottom, revealing a burst, which is a servant. In addition to the card pickup from the trash, there is also either a down target Signy, which is targeted on the Ishikiri Maru, or drawing 2 cards. Finally, we have an attack from Remember, revealing another burst, which is vanish in 8k or less, targeting the Ishikiri Maru, also drawing 2 cards from the Eldora on stage trigger. Red putting up a vicious 2 damage this turn, slowly chipping away at Blue's life cloth. Red is however fully grown, so Blue does have some avenues to attack this turn. Blue plays their second piece, Brain Hearts. This piece allows you to draw 2 cards and discard a card. If the card discarded this way is a Desona, you can vanish target Signy in opponent's field, otherwise vanish a level 1 Signy in opponent's field. A Firecracker is discarded, which is a Desona card, so vanishing Exia. Exia's effect triggers, blocking attacks in the top lane. Blue then activates Yuzuki's Exceed 4 ability, granting them access to 2 out of the 5 Fasone Magic Crafts. Fasone Magic Jade and Fasone Magic Blue are chosen, allowing for enter and enter manipulation and card draw and card discard. Sorry for the glare, but that is a Carnival Desona in the bottom lane and a Diabride in the top lane. And now we have a Lallaroo in the center lane. Next, a Fasone Magic Jade is played, which is a spell which will trigger Lallaroo's Enter Burn ability on attack phase. First we enter charge, and then you'll grab a Signy from enter onto the field. Blue then places the Nobunaga on top of the Lallaroo. Next, Blue grants Assassin to the Carnival Desona via Yuzuki's ability. And then pays another 2 to give Nobunaga Double Crush. Suddenly, Red is staring down what could be lethal. Moving to the attack phase, Blue first attacks with Nobunaga, triggering Koala's ability, which will remove Double Crush from Nobunaga. Not the 2 life cloth Blue wanted to crush, but will still get 1 life cloth. The damage goes through, and it is not a burst. Next, Carnival attacks with Assassin, and it is also not a burst. Finally, Yuzuki attacks and is guarded by a servant. Once again, we are tied up on life cloth at 1 each. Red has the advantage, but Blue does have 1 open assist Elrig, and Red has 1 piece left. It's going to be down to the wire. Red plays their final piece, which is Blue Knight Show, allowing for either putting a level 2 Signy on the bottom of their deck, freezing target Elrig, drawing 3 cards, or making opponent discard 2 cards at random. For the first effect, we're putting Carnival Desona at the bottom of the deck. Since it did target, Diabride's effect triggers, enter burning Red for 1. For the next effect, Red will draw 3 cards. For the final effect, Blue will have to discard 2 cards at random. You can't see them here, but one of the cards discarded here was a Servant, so a pretty big blow to Blue. After activating that, Red then activates Remembers once per turn again. Red then plays a Snow Mew at the top lane, freezing the Nobunaga. Red then plays a Cream Soda in the center lane, looking at Blue's hand and cycling a card, choosing the Ex Memoria. Next, Red trashes the Cream Soda in the center lane. Red then plays a third Exia in the center lane, once again blocking multiple attacks for Blue next turn. Moving to the attack phase, Koala triggers again as both players have 1 life cloth. Blue then plays Mel Invisible, only paying enough for 1 damage prevention. Red then moves to combat, underswinging with the top lane Mew and the center lane Exia, and then attacking with Koala in the bottom lane, which is prevented by the Mel Invisible. Finally, Remember swings, freezing and downing the Diabride. The damage goes through, and it is not a burst. 2 effects will then trigger on Red side. Exia will up all Signy, and Snow Mew, since there are 2 frozen Signy, will move the Diabride to the bottom of Blue's deck, opening up another lane. Blue is barely hanging on here, but this is a great opportunity to get that last 2 damage in. Can they do it? Blue starts by Energizing the Nobunaga as it is frozen and not useful this turn. We have another Carnival Dissona in the bottom lane. Remember, Blue has to get around Koala's on attack trigger. Emergence is then played, getting a Wall Wolf from the Enter onto the field. The Enter ability is then paid for, giving it Lancer, opening up 1 avenue of attack here. Finally, a Comedy is played in the center lane. On attack, she can either enter charge or draw a card. Not too useful here, but could be. And finally, the last 2 enters paid to give Assassin to the Carnival Dissona. Moving to the attack phase, Carnival Dissona will attack first, triggering Koala, removing the Assassin from Carnival. No damage there. Next, the Comedy underswings in the center lane, drawing a card. The Wall Wolf will then get in, vanishing the Snowmew and lancering damage over to no burst, so we are tied at life cloth again at none. Have a Servant? They do, and the damage is prevented. Blue was unable to get that last damage in, but Red still does need to get through this wall. Not a hard task, but something they have to do. The Koala, having done a lot of work, gets Energized. A Madoka Fasone is played, freezing the Wall Wolf. A Remember Memoria is played in the top lane, using coins to freeze and then paying a blue to bounce the Comedy in the center back to hand. The coins finally becoming useful at the end of the game. Quickly moving to the attack phase, the Exia will swing in the wide open center and the game is over. GG. Red takes it at the end. What an amazing ending to an amazing match between 2 great selectors. Looking at the scoreboard, Remember only had 3 bursts, one of which was discarded. On the other side, Yuzuki had a total of 5 bursts, which was not enough to get there in the end. We'd like to once again thank you for watching Weekly Wharf Wixoss. We hope you enjoyed this match. Stay tuned for future installments. We hope you have a good one.